want to talk about is Javier Baez because I've been seeing a lot of conversation with him online. He had the play that some people weren't even calling a highlight where he bobbled the ball and then flipped it to third. Baez on the season, 585 OPS. What do you guys kind of make of his season? And seemingly the fans are getting more and more upset and kind of throwing more shade at Baez.
Well, he had the one hot stretch after the benching in Toronto. He certainly has that capability where he can go on a run for a couple weeks at a time and help carry a team. And I'm sure he will again over the course of the summer because that's just kind of been his MO over the course of his career. But I had a kind of a joking tweet earlier today. I called, and this is an old joke, but I called him the human ceiling fan, right? I mean, that's kind of what he is at the plate. He waves at a lot of stuff, and I'm always amazed any major league pitcher throws him a strike. I certainly wouldn't until I was absolutely back against the wall. I had to throw him one. I would be throwing junk and let him get himself out. It's maddening. You can't imagine this. Anybody who played through American Legion or high school ball can't imagine some of the pitches he swings at consistently. It's so frustrating, but that's who he is, and it's unlikely to change. And he's probably around for 4 more years.
Yeah, the thing that mystifies me about Baez is just where the power went. Like we all expected him to strike out a lot. We knew that coming in. We knew he was going to expand the zone. He's actually been he's still swinging, missing, and swings at pitches that seemed like he had no business offering at. But he's improved that aspect of his game a lot, actually, at least in terms of striking out. But the power just disappeared. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's a product of his approach. I don't want to say he's like a petulant teenager who's like, okay, if you're going to make me not strike out, then I'm not going to hit power either. I'm not suggesting that, but it almost feels like to get that power hitting Baez, you need to accept that fishing expedition Baez. And I don't know, like you see the plays, like there was a play, he made an error tonight, maybe 2, but he had one where he bobbled it and then recovered and made a really heady play. That's just who he is. I think he's a really volatile player. And he's not the guy you want to build your team around. He's a great 4th, 5th piece on a team, I think. Yeah. He's a guy that could be electric at times and can come up with big hits and really benefit you when you've got some other good players there. But if you're basing things on him, he's just too up and down. But that's the way the roster's built right now, so there's not much we can do about it.
And, you're right. I 100% agree. If he's in your second tier of producers and he's a guy who can go on his little 3-week run where he really helps the team, but he's your 6th or 7th guy, yeah, that's fantastic. That's kind of Craig Monroe-ish from back in the day. I mean, who could carry a team for a couple weeks and then disappear.
Yeah, I think other thing I look at with Baez is I was seeing some comments online about like how he potentially doesn't want to be here. Could you guys ever see it getting to that point where potentially the Tigers have to, cut bait with them of some sort, or if the relationship gets that bad? Because I've seen rumors about that, or like, people speculating he doesn't want to be here. Like, I don't know what to make of that.
Well, in terms of the opt-out, he would have to really want to go and play somewhere that he wants to be in order to turn down that money, right? I mean, it just makes, to the common man anyway, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? I mean, you're going to take that cash because he's not going to find that on the open market again. So he would make, some fraction of it, I think maybe 30% tops on the open market. So has he made enough money in his lifetime so far? And then by taking a small contract would still have money coming in to opt out? I think there's less than a 2% chance of that, to be honest with you. So then it'd be the Tigers, cutting bait and working out some kind of deal to pay him off over time. So it doesn't sound too attractive. And I can't imagine Chris Ilitch finds that a very appealing idea.
No, I was thinking about this earlier today because I posted a snarky thing about, the Tigers have Baez for 4 more years. I just was thinking about the old election chant. I was like, 4 more years. That's pleasing myself in that way. And so then I was like, what's the longest amount of a contract left for a player to ever have just been released. And I don't think it's anywhere close to 4 years. It might be 2, maybe. It feels more like a 1.5. I don't know. Like, there have been instances where I think the Angels basically cut bait with Josh Hamilton,
Yeah.
but I think they worked out a trade for basically nothing and ate all the salary, I think, and just gave him to the Rangers for something. Maybe there's a scenario where the Mets remember Baez being good for them at second base. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think the Cubs would be, knocking down the door to get Baez back. So I don't think there's a real, eat his salary and get anything back for him. I think you're stuck with him for at least 2 years, probably 3.